Hey everyone, welcome back. I've come up here to start a new series on Kubernetes, which would be in an English version. And in the first couple of videos, maybe 3 to 4 videos, it will be on Docker, the basics of Docker, how the Docker works, and I will be talking on engine, Docker engine, and what do you mean by containers, images, isolations, and also networkings and volumes. So these many things I'll cover, whatever it's required for Kubernetes. And after the Docker, maybe 4 or 5 videos, then I will jump into the Kubernetes basics. Then I will try to follow the syllabus of CKAD and CKA. Then we will see how it goes. Yeah. So please comment if you want, if you have any feedbacks or if you want more clarity. So I would take it and I will fine tune it. Then I'll come back again. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that today. So now the first thing what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what is Docker engine, and then we're going to talk about what is Docker image, and then we're going to talk about Docker containers, and then Docker containers isolation. So these are all the topics which we're going to talk about in this video. I hope this would be interesting for you. So for that, so as usual, I'm logging into my AWS console, and I'm going to spin up a new instance. Great. Now, so let me see what all the instances are running, because there was another AWS workshop series which I was doing a couple of days back. I think that instances should have been running already. Yes, if you remember the AWS workshop, this is the instance which is running, and this is running on this domain actually, ownlearning.click. Yep, see. Okay, that's a different part anyways. And this one, it's an elastic IP. Okay, elastic IP is mapped to this. Elastic IP, see, elastic IP is mapped to this. So if the elastic IP is mapped to the instance, and if the instance is running, then you don't have any issues with the billing. But if you stop the instance and the elastic IP is mapped, then they will charge you. So that's why anyways 750 hours is free for me per month on t2.micro. If you go for AWS free tier here, so you will get the second link. If you open the second link, so if you scroll down, then if you click on EC2, see Amazon EC2, 750 hours per month. Yeah, so 750 per hours of month of Linux, RHEL or SLES, T2.micro, T3.micro instance, dependent on region. So that's why I kept it on running because this is my new account, just a month or 2 months old. So let it run. Okay, perfect. Now let me launch an instance for this series. Yeah. So this is what Kubernetes. Good. So I'm gonna launch Amazon Linux 2 and T2.micro for now, and I'm gonna proceed without a key pair recommended. So I'm gonna click on edit, and this is gonna be in your default VPC, no problem. And this is gonna be in on A, auto assign public IP, and select existing security group, and I'm gonna choose my website security group. And okay, if you guys are having a doubt on this, what is a security group and how things works, I would suggest you to go and check my AWS workshop playlist. Yeah, so scroll down and click on advanced details, and then click on IAM instance profile. So I'm choosing session manager custom role, and scroll down and then click on launch instances. Okay, so let the instance be get launch. Click on view all instances. Yeah, now the instance is in pending state. In next couple of minutes it will come into the running status. So let me pause the video till that time. Okay, now it's in running status and the status check is initializing. Let's try to connect it. Click on connect and then easy to instance connect. Click on connect again. Okay, the first thing is you have to update your repository. So sudo yum space update -y. So it's updated all your repos. Yep. Great. Now, first thing, as I said, I'm gonna talk about Docker for a couple of videos, and then because Docker is very important for Kubernetes, you need to understand concepts and designs of Docker in order to go further. So this is very, very important for us. So for that, you need to make sure that whether Docker is installed or not. Now, when I type Docker is not there. Okay, even if you type Docker, hyphen help, no, see, Docker command itself not found. Yeah. So what is the flavor of this Linux? When I created the when I created this EC2 instance, I've chosen Amazon Linux version 2. So if you want to see that, you name -a, or else you can type cat space etc space os-release. Yeah, so you're getting Amazon Linux and it's a version 2. Okay, cool. So how do you install Docker? Yes, in order to install Docker, you have various commands for various distributions. So if you see Docker install on Linux, if you type it, so you'll get the first link. Yeah, you'll get the first link, and on the left side, if you scroll down, you will get different options. For CentOS, what are the commands? For Debian, what are the commands? For Fedora, what are the commands? For Arachio, what are the commands? So everything is there. Yeah, so what I'm going to do here is for Amazon Linux version 2, I'm just gonna, because this is using the yum repository, so I'll just use sudo yum docker. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so this says no, there is nothing called no such command as Docker. So sudo yum install Docker, this is the right command. Yeah, so now here if you see what I've done here is sudo space yum space install space Docker, then it's just trying to go and pull it, and it's trying to get the Docker package. Yeah, and the Docker version is 20.10.17.1. this is the Docker version. Okay, but if you see what is the Docker engine latest version, if you see that, you will get 20.10.20 is the latest version, where it was released on 18th of October. So 20.10.20, and here 20.10.17, which is 3 versions before. So if you scroll down, this is the one, 20.10.17. Yeah, cool. Now this is what it's going to install, and this is the size of it. And with Docker, there are a lot of dependency software will get deployed. That is, containerd is one of the package, libc group, pigz, runc. These are all required in order to run the Docker. So when you're putting the Docker will find out all the dependencies and it will try to download it. Yeah, now it's asking what is the total size. Yeah, and so I'll just hit yes. Is this okay? Yes, it is okay, and it will download everything, and that's it. Great. Now if you type Docker, see, you're getting all the commands, what all the commands you can execute with Docker, and what are all the, these are all the management commands. Yeah, and these are all the options. Yeah, now if you want to see the version, what you'll do, docker-v, you'll get Docker version 20.10.17. okay, and also if you type docker info, okay, 1 minute, docker hyphen version, the docker hyphen version. Okay, Okay, before we go further, as soon as you install Docker, what happens is, I don't want to go basics of Linux in this series. When you install Docker, for example, if you type ID, what is my user ID? With which ID I have logged into this machine? So the ID which I've used is EC2-user, right? EC2-user is the one which I've used to log in. Yeah. Now, now for this user ID, yeah, for this user ID, these are all the groups I am added. I mean, EC2-user has been added to. So if you type group here, say, I'm sorry, groups here, say this EC2-user is part of EC2-user group, ADM group, wheel group, systemd-journal. Okay. Now, when Docker is getting installed, there is a group automatically gets created, and that group name is called Docker. Okay. If you want to see cat/etc/group, see, these are all the groups. Okay. On the left side before column, these are all the groups which has been there. See this? These are all the groups. Now Docker is a group, and nobody has been added to the Docker group yet. Yeah. So what we will do here is, if you see this groups. So nobody is, the EC2-user current ID is not yet added to the Docker group. So what we're going to do is, there is a command sudo space user mod -a-g, and then you have to type EC2-user then Docker. Okay, it's the other way. Sudo user mod -a-g. You have to add the group name first and then the user ID next. Now, if you do that, it has been added. So if you want to make this effective, if you type group here, see, it still shows like that. Okay, but there is another command to new group. If you type groups, okay, it's still not there. Okay, forget about this command, guys. Okay, it's different. Now I want to exit out. Okay, and then okay, you logged out now. Now I want to connect it again, so I'm clicking on connect. Great. Now if you type groups here, see, Docker is there. So even if you type cat etc/group, see, for Docker group, EC2-user has been added. Great. So now if you type docker info, you will get 1 minute. Okay, now it says, is the Docker daemon running? For any application whichever you are downloading, whichever you're running, there it should be, whichever you downloaded, the particular service should be running. So for that, you have to make sure systemctl status docker. See, I mean, I don't want to go deep into these things because these things I've already covered in my AWS workshop by installing a lot of softwares. So you can go through that. But now if you see, I have downloaded the Docker, but it is not in active state. It is in dead state. It is in inactive state. So what I'll do is systemctl start docker. Yeah. Now failed to start, was not provided by any .services files. Okay, so what I'll do here is, let's try the other one, service docker start. This is another command. Okay, that is also not happening. Okay, sudo systemctl start docker, because the sudo is missing, because we don't have the normal EC2-user does not have a privilege to start or stop the Docker. So that's why we have to add the sudo. Okay, now here if you do systemctl status docker, see, now it is in active mode, it is in running mode. Remember that. Okay, cool. Now if you type docker info, so you will get a couple of things on Docker, right? So for example, how many containers are running, what are the images, what are the storage drivers. So these things we will talk about it maybe next couple of videos after. Okay, but for now, what we are going to do in this lab is, in this lab we're going to talk about containers mainly on, okay, let me open it. I already created a GitHub page. So this is what we're going to talk about. So we'll talk about Docker engine. This is the first thing. The next one is we're going to talk about containers and images. The next one is image registries and DockerHub. And then we'll talk about container isolation. So this is the part one which we're gonna see, and then let's see how this progress first. Now I'm going back here. So let me move to sudo su. So I'll be in the root user just for this tutorial. Great. Cool. Now the first thing is what we're gonna do here is we're gonna run our first container, guys. Okay, so what is container? All those things maybe in the video I will be explaining, or maybe in the practical I'll be showing. Yeah, so what is a command to run the container? Okay, simple. Docker space container space run. Okay, now these three words are very important. Docker space container space run. Three things. Okay, if somebody says, hey, can you please run a container, so you need to make sure that you have to have a Docker space container space run. Now after this, okay, what is the next one? Next one is what is the image name? Yeah, so here there is an image name. Maybe you don't get it right now, but as the video goes you will understand more, so you just come along with me. Yeah, now if you hit enter, okay, before that you need to make sure, before that, okay, remember this command docker ps. Okay, so docker ps is the command which will display what are all the containers running now. This is a fresh docker we have installed, and there are no containers running because we did not start any container or anything. And also docker space images, so we do not have any images also. Yeah, and there is one more command, docker ps, will tell you the active containers which is running. But if you see docker ps -a, this command will tell you not only the active containers, but also on adding to that it will also tell you what are all the containers which is in stopped state. Remember that. Yeah, great. So we do not have any containers. There's a new machine. We do not have any images. Now what my boss is saying, hey, can you please run a hello world container? Now docker container run hello -world. Now just understand this, just see what I'm talking about. Okay, now what exactly this says. Yeah, now see this, you're typing this command, okay, cool, and then you're just saying, and then it says unable to find image locally, something it says. Yeah, and then the third line, pulling from some library, and then it says pull complete, and then this is the SHA-256 digest, and then it says downloading newer image for hello world latest, and then it says hello from docker. See this, hello from docker, blah 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 blah. Great. Now you need to understand this very clear. What is happening? Unable to find image locally. What does it means? It means, okay, it means, I'm coming back to my terminal, docker images. So now when we run this command, okay, it was trying to find the image locally. Okay, now here it is showing this now because we have run this command, but prior to this it was not there. Okay, so that's why it says unable to find image locally. That's why it's trying to pull it from somewhere else. Now what is it somewhere else? Yeah, what is this library? Yeah, so there is something called DockerHub, guys. Okay, so if you type dockerhub.com, so here you will have all the Docker images. So if you go here, So if you don't have an ID, please go in and try to create the ID. If you go like this, dockerhub.com, and then click on register, and then create an account, sign up. Once it is done, then you will come here like this. Okay. Now if you search for it, now what exactly my command will do is, this will come here, this will search for hello world, and this is the image, Docker official image of hello world. Now if you scroll down, okay, what happens is, if somebody runs docker space container space run space hello world, or docker space run space hello world, they will get this message, and that is what we got it here. See this? So this command, okay, will check. Okay, the first thing is, it will try to find some images there locally or not. If it is not, it will go there, it will go to this Docker Hub, it will try to pull the hello world. That is done, then it will try to get the images. Okay. Now if you see this Docker images, you have only one, which is already we have downloaded. Okay, good. Now if you type docker ps, there is no containers running actively, but if you type docker ps-a, there was a container which ran for a hello world, and it got exited 3 minutes ago. Okay, this is the previous one which we ran. Now let's do one more thing. So docker container run hello-world again. One more container I'm launching. Yeah, hit enter. So now see this, what happens is, what is the difference between these two things? See, docker container run world, and then we already had one more docker container earlier, where we saw unable to pull image from locally, then pulling from the docker, pulling from the library, we got all those things. But here when you run it now, it just gives you, without those options, it just found something was there in local, and it just gives the message. I hope you guys are clear. Let me tell you again. See how many images right now we have. 2 images. I want to remove these 2 images. One image, docker RMI. It's for removing the image. Yeah, and then hello world. Okay, some containers are running. So docker ps-a. So docker rm. I will stop these containers. So D05 and then C14. Okay, docker ps-a. Okay, no containers are running. Docker images. Now docker RMI hello-world. Okay, perfect. Now we are back to square one, guys. Yeah, but I want you guys to understand this very clearly. So what we are doing here is docker again. When somebody is asking you to run a container, you don't need to add container as a keyword. Without container also, this command will work like this, also like this. Okay, now if you run like this, see this, what happens. Okay, see this, docker run hello world. Yeah, I'll just copy it in a notepad. Yeah, control A, copy, paste it. Yeah, and then what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to run again docker run hello world one more time. Okay, so this time if you see this, what happened here is, so let's compare with these two things. Plugins, compare, set as first to compare, and then plugins, and then compare, and then compare. Just see the difference here. Just give me a minute. Unable to find image. Okay. Okay, plugins, compare, set as first to compare, and then plugins, compare. Okay, perfect. Now see the difference here. The first one on the left side, we ran it for the first time, and the second one the second time. Now the difference is, when you run for the first time, unable to find image locally, then it's trying to pull from library hello world. What do you mean by library from hello world? Is nothing but it's just going here to the Docker Hub, and then it's trying to pull it, and the pull is complete, and then download a newer image for hello world. Okay, now The second time when I ran it, these commands it did not execute because already the hello world image is already downloaded in the local. So that's why it did not go and pull it from the DockerHub. Remember that. So first it will check in the local. Okay. So here we go. So Docker space images. So we already have the image now. Yeah. Now if you type docker ps, there is no active containers running. So if you type docker ps -a, we will talk about these containers more, but just come along with me. Now if you see, there are 2 times we ran the docker hello world and it gave the output like this. So it ran the docker container and then it gave the output like this: hello from docker, hello from docker. So 2 times, and then it exited out 2 minutes ago, and this is a 1 minute ago, and this is a container name. Okay, these are all the random container name which is chosen by Docker, but we can give our own container name also, that we will talk about it. Yeah, so just understand this very important principle, guys. So running your first container is very important. So what are all the components is first thing, it will try to find it in the local, whether any images are there. If it is not there, then it will try to pull it from the DockerHub. Yeah. Now the next one is we will talk about the images. Yeah, so what do you mean by images? Now docker type images, you will get the hello world image, but if you see, there is another command, docker space image space ls, which will also do the same thing. Yeah. Now let's do one thing. There is another, I want to pull an image. Okay, if you see, I have only one images, hello world image. Now if I want to take docker space image space pull space alpine. Okay, alpine is a lightweight Linux OS. So see this. So see this, what happened here is docker and then image, and then I'm pulling, and this is the OS name. And then when you don't put anything after, okay, see how this works actually. Okay, either you put docker, okay, let me log in here, let me copy this, and then if you open see this is same equal as docker image pull alpine :latest. If you don't put anything after alpine, it means default it says :latest. Or if you want specific version something, if you know the version name like version 5 or something, then you have to put it like this. Then it will download that particular version, right? Cool. Now we have downloaded the alpine. If you see docker images, see we got an alpine, which is a latest tag. Okay, and this is the image ID, blah blah blah. Now what happens is, what happened was, when you run this command docker space image space pull space alpine, this went there. So it was trying to find its it went there, and then it just went here and it was searching for alpine, and then we got, see, alpine OS. This is the image which we got it right now, and which is sitting in our local. Yeah. Okay. Now the next one is, we're going to run a container based on the alpine OS, and we have run the container earlier for hello world, right? So if you see this docker ps-a, we already created 2 containers, right? The sample containers which we have seen. Now what we're going to do here is, we're going to talk about we're going to show you how to run a container using alpine now. Okay, so based on the alpine image, that is what we're going to do. So for that, docker space container space run, or you can type docker space run also, anything is fine. Okay, docker space run space the image name is alpine. Okay, if you want to see docker space images, see the image name is alpine. Okay, so docker space run space alpine. This is done. Now I'm going to list out the list of kind of files and folders inside that particular alpine OS. Okay, now click on it. Now it will tell you the list of things, and that's it. The container will exit out. Okay, now what happens is, if you type docker ps now, If you type docker ps -a, see this alpha and image, and this is a command which we executed, okay, 14 seconds ago. It got exited out, and this is the container name, and this is the container id. So it ran the container, and then it lists out all the folders and all the folders and files in that container. Then the container exited out. That's it. Exited out means it's not running anymore. If it is running, then if you run this docker ps command, it will be coming up here. If you don't find anything over here, then you have to run this docker ps -a command, which will tell you what are all the commands which we got exited out. Yeah, so this is the docker run thing. Okay, so make sure that this docker ps and docker ps -a command, you remember that. Okay, now the next one is we will talk about the other one. Okay, one more thing. So docker space run space alpha, and I'm choosing, then I'm just choosing echo hello from Samir, something like this. Now if you do this, what happens is it just execute, it opened the container, it ran the container, and then it ran this command, and we got the output, and the container got exited out. So what do you mean? Now if you type docker ps, you don't have anything. Docker ps -a, see this alpine, and this is a command 19 seconds ago. We started and we got the output, and that is over. Okay, now let's try another command. So if you see docker images, we got only two. One is alpine, and the other one is the hello world. Now we're going to try another command. Okay, say this docker space run space alpine space bin space sh. What happened? We came back to the same prompt. So what exactly happened is it ran the alpine container with some shell prompt, and then it exited out. Now if you see in the previous, we got how many containers exist? 4. But if you type docker ps -a, you'll get 5. See this? It opened the bin sh, it opened the shell prompt, and then it exited out. That is what we gave. So totally we have 1 2 3 4 5 containers we have. Okay, now let's do one more thing. Okay, now I don't want my container to be, I want to be interactive with the container. Okay, so what I'll do, docker space, you can type container run, or you can type run, anything is fine. Okay, so docker space run space, then here I want to add -it. -it means interactive. Okay, and then alpine, and then bin space sh. Now if you see this, see the command prompt changed from root to I'm inside the container now. Yeah, so if you type ls -l, you'll get the command. Okay, and then if you type uname -a, you will get the command the Linux versions and everything for that particular container. Okay, so if you type exit out, you're coming out again. Now if you type docker ps, say docker ps -a, now the last command which we did, it was this one, bin sh, and that was interactive actually. Okay, we connected to the container, we log into the container. Yeah, cool. Now one more thing. Okay, Samir, how you remember these commands? Okay, the first thing, see docker space run space -help. So it will tell you what are all the things you can do on these things. See this? Either you can use -c, or you can use -- and the entire things. Okay, yeah, see this -i use, instead of that I can use -- interactive. Yeah, and -t also I've used. So instead of this I can use --tty. So anything is fine. Okay, so just go for this docker space run space -help to understand more commands. Yeah, now I want to tell you some more thing. Okay, you can type docker ps or docker ps -a, but there is another thing, docker space container space ls, the same thing, docker space container space ls -a. So that also gives you the same thing. Okay, cool guys. Now the next thing is I want to talk about container isolation. Okay, so what do you mean by isolation, Samir? So maybe I'll give you a practical example on this. Yeah, so here we go. Now the next thing is let me see what all the images I have. I have two images. Okay, Docker PS. I don't have any active containers. Let me see. Okay, I have these many containers which got exited out. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 containers are there which is exited. Now I'm gonna execute another command, docker space container space run space -it. Then I'm taking my alpine as a base OH, and then bin space ASH. Okay, now I will be in the container. I am inside the container. Now what I'm going to do is echo space hello world, hello Samir, and then samir.txt. So I'm creating a text file there. Yeah, and then enter. So that is done. Now if you type ls, so I got samir.txt here. Correct. If you see this ls-lrt, see samir.txt is here, and I'm inside the container. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to exit it out. So I'm done. Now if you type docker ps, you don't have any active containers, docker ps -a. Yes, so this is a container which I have added samir.txt. remember that this is a container. Okay, so copy, and then I'll open it here. So this is a container, right? Cool, perfect. Now let me do something now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the same command again. Okay, so docker space container space run space alpine ls. If you type ls, what happens is it will launch a new container with the alpine OS, and then it will list out the list of files and folders. Just see. So do you have samir.txt? No. Why? Because this is how the container is very isolation is very important. Yeah. So now what we're going to do here is if you type docker, see docker ps -a, see this, we ran the last command ls, and this is a different container, but our container is keen_gagarin. This is what we have done it. So inside this we have our samir.txt file. Okay, now now the next thing is, how do you get this? How do you log into this? For that you have to docker first, you have to start the container. This is an exit status, so docker space start. Either you can give keen.gagarin or you can give this id. Okay, you don't need to give the full id, you can give first 3 or 4 digits. If you type it, so docker will start, docker start 003c. now if you type docker ps, see this, it is an active state. Which is an active state? keen_gagarin is an active state. Okay, now if you go for docker if you go for docker ps -a, okay, see this here, it shows up 17 seconds, same thing. Okay, so something is in active state right now. Okay, so we have started the container. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to docker container, I'm going to introduce another command called exec, docker container exec, and then I'm going to give this id. Okay, so this is id, so I'll just give only the first 3 or 4 digit. Okay, and then I'm going to type ls. If you do this, see this samir.txt is coming up inside the container. Okay, now the container would have been it's still running. Okay, so that's how. So we started the container and we have executed the command, the lx command, and we got it. So which is a beautiful form of container isolation, guys. Okay, and these are all the important concepts of containers. Okay, I think we are good with this exercise. So what are all the things which we have learned in this is, make sure I will just put all the commands, what are the commands we have learned it, but important concept is you need to know what is images. Okay, that is very important. What are containers? Okay, and what is docker daemon? Okay, what is docker daemon, Samir? So docker daemon, it's a background service running on host. Okay, and this daemon will manage the building, running, and distributing the docker containers.